created to reign. What does that mean? You are royalty. You were created to win. There's a definition that says to wear a crown.
From your beginning to your end, you were created to reign. It's time to own your royalty, 'cause you are the essence of queen. Oh, that's to me now. If I want it, I'm gon' get it. I make it rain. I'll make it rain. If I want it,
I got them heavy snacks.
I'm gon' get
Give me some.
I make it rain. Oh, I make it rain.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't have to worry about it. I can celebrate with her because I was created to reign. She was created to reign. We can rock
You excited?
together. We can rock our royalty together. I
Here we
know
go.
who I am.
No?
No.
Okay. All right.
You gotta remember, I'm 77 years old.
70. We don't know. We don't care. We don't care. That's all right.
I'm not
You're a spring chicken. What is up? Oh my gosh. Hey, what's up, my rain dancers? I don't know why I'm looking over here. Hi, my rain dancers. I'm a little rusty. I'm getting back at it. I'm so excited to be back in the spot, back on set, ready to bring you another episode of Standing in the Rain, another piece of new hotness. This one, I say this all the time. I say this all the time, but I'm actually always kind of trumping myself a bit. I mean it. This is my favorite guest of all time, because if this guest isn't here, I'm not here. So I'm just so excited. So, but before I jump into that, I want to make sure. So for those of you who are new, for those of you who've been rocking with me forever, welcome back. For those of you who are new to Standing in the Rain, welcome. This is my podcast, Standing in the Rain. You are in the right spot. Don't switch. Stay right here. The goal of Standing in the Rain is to do one thing: to help you rock your royalty. Rain means, so for make sure that everybody is clear about that, rain means to overcome, to dominate, to superabound, to win, to sway, to have influence, the essence of win, to wear a crown, my favorite. It means you are royalty. And so everything I'm trying to do here, all the people that I bring to you, I'm just trying to make deposits into you, to help you by hearing their stories, by hearing us vibe, hopefully go to yet another level. So I'm just so excited for today's episode, because here's the deal. Within Standing in the Rain, we have all kinds of cool things that flow out of it, like, say it with me, these nuptials. He's back in the back. No dubs on it? Nothing? Okay, these nuptials. Anyway, yeah. So at any rate, the other thing that I do within Standing in the Rain that was really important for me when I started my own show was I wanted to make sure that I had a legacy edition. So if you guys have been rocking with me for a minute, you remember that I interviewed my oldest son, Brooke Roseman, back in season 1. It was phenomenal, and we talked a lot, vibed around the raindrop of the day, played big. And so this is a continuation of our legacy edition. There'll only be 3. I've got 2 sons. You'll hear from him at some point later. Just don't go away from all that we're doing. But this one right here is really, really special to me. I'm gonna try to get through it without crying, because today, I don't even know how I did it. I don't even know how I convinced her to do it. I don't even know how you said yes, but I did it. I got her here now. Today, as part of our legacy edition of Standing in the Rain, I've got my mama, the OG Rainmaker, the one, the only, Janie Morton. Give it up. Wah, 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 wah. OG. Are you excited? I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea. You have no idea how hard this was. But it's so important. It's so important. I think that one of the things that we are missing today as a people is that we don't spend enough time at the feet of our elders. We don't spend enough time hearing from them about the things that they went through, the things that they learned. I dare say it's one of the main reasons why we're looking at things now and we're like, man, we've been here before. If you do not understand your history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? That's not mine, but it's relevant. And so I think it's important. Again, I don't exist without this lady right here. I mean that. She's the OG rainmaker. Everything I got, the overcome, to dominate, the superabound, the win, the essence of win, the sway, to have influence right here. Right here, embodied in this little person right here. And so I want to talk about it. And so you know how we do. We vibe around a raindrop of the day. And I was trying to figure out one for her. And I was just thinking through this. And it's like, what typifies my mother? What really fits with what we try to do here at Standing in the Rain? And I was like, man, so many words, so many things. And the best thing I kept coming back to, and you say it in a bunch of different iterations, but this is the way I'm going to lay it down for today. So the raindrop of today, as we vibe together and hopefully elevate y'all, is don't you dare quit. Now, you hear me? Don't you dare quit. You hear me? Come on now. So anyway, hi. Welcome to Standing in the Rain. Okay, so mama, there's some rules. You guys speak audibly.
Okay.
You know, because they can't hear you.
Okay.
Well, let's try this again. Welcome to Standing in the Rain.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
This is so funny. It would be a miracle if I don't get a whooping before this is over. I love this. This is so much. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm so honored. I mean it. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure, like I said, that I don't cry. It is such an honor for me to be able to have you still in my life and to call you my friend. You kind of spend your time, for those parents out there, you spend your time raising your children. At some point, God willing, you get to a place where you get a chance to vibe with one another and be friends. And I get to call you my friend. So I'm honored to do that. And I get to do that and honor you all at the same time. But I just want to dive right in. There are a lot of people out there that rock with me, that believe me when I tell them that they were created to reign. And so I just want to talk about it, because I know that that's something that I say, but I know that that's not something that you always thought about you. And so I want to go all the way back from where you're from, because you're not native to Fort Wayne, Indiana. You're from Sprott, Alabama, which you can't even find it on the map. You can't find it on the map unless I think you buy a map in Alabama, then it's like a little dot. But just talk a bit about what it was like. Again, the raindrop of the day is don't you dare quit. And I picked it for you because I've watched you for 77 years do just that. And so let's talk about where it started for you back in Sprott, Alabama. Let's just unpack this a little bit, like where you come from. I mean, tell people, because a lot of people don't even know, like, where is that? So talk about Sprott. Like, what was it like growing up there? We've talked about it a lot, but I want to talk about it for them.
Let's see. Like you said, it's just a little dot on the map.
Yeah.
But I was born there, and we lived there till, I practically ran away from home.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to explain it. It was just a little spot where we lived on this white man's place, and we shared. My mom and dad sharecropped, and I tell you the stories about how the things that we used to do, how we used to. The man's name was Jeff Jones.
The white man but the place that you lived on his property?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he told us when we could go to school and when we couldn't go to school, and it was just like that's the way we lived, and we ate when they got done eating, when we worked for them, and but we got joy out of doing. I was a child, and we did things.
Like what?
To get back at them for the things that we thought that we deserved better. But, I mean, that doesn't make it right.
That's okay.
But you did what you did. Like, you would, wash your hands in their water and stuff like that. And he had a brother who used to take us to pick cotton and all this stuff. And you couldn't go to school until the man told you it was time to go to that you could go to school when when he was satisfied with how the crops was going and all this kind of stuff, But
so how old are you when you're working on this man's property?
I say 9.
And what are you doing? Like, what kind of work are you talking about?
I used to pick, maybe I was like about to 11 or 12 then. I used to pick 100 pounds of cotton a day. And we used to put a sack on your back. Somebody help you put this, and you would have to tote it up to the truck. And then Charles Jones would weigh it. And I think we only got 50 cents for, a pound.
Wow.
But that was how we lived. But I don't ever remember being sad.
It was just the way life was.
It was the way life was, and we had my favorite thing was that we had this mule, and his name was Bill, and we used to call him Old Bill, and he used to come and bam on the door because he loved biscuits. But and we would ride. My girlfriend and I used to get on him, and we ride. Didn't have no saddle or nothing. We just get on him and we ride, hold on to his mane. But he didn't want to get his feet wet. He never wanted to get his feet wet.
The mule didn't want to get his feet wet.
No, if there was a puddle of water, he was and we were right over.
So it was a bougie mule. He wanted to get his feet wet.
Yeah, he never wanted to get his feet wet. But and then when I was like, I say maybe 8, I got run over by a car. And I always say now, like I tell you now, I don't understand why I'm here, because there's so many things that happen. But there is God.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit, because I just want to unpack that, because I don't want to miss it, because you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Like you worked hard.
We worked hard.
The raindrop is don't you dare quit. I mean, you worked hard. I mean, just talk about a typical day. You're 9 years old. So when you're 9 years old, you're in what grade? You're in elementary school.
Mm-hmm. We went to East Perry.
So talk to me about a day. Like, what time did your day start? What time? I mean, talk to me about a day. You're 9 years old, before you ever got to school. Just talk to me about what a day looked like in the life of Janie. At the time, Janie McCarroll.
Well, like my dad worked at the gin house where they did the cotton, make it into bales and stuff so they could sell. But anyway, he had a little bit of clout with the boss. Okay. And we got to go to school when school opened, but a lot of kids couldn't go to school until Jeff Jones told them that they could go to school.
And I want to be clear so we don't miss this. When you talk about a lot of kids, you're talking about the black kids.
Mm-hmm, the black kids, yeah.
You're talking just about the black kids.
Yeah, I'm talking about black kids.
Yeah. Okay.
There was no, white people didn't work in the field with us.
Yeah.
They might, I don't even remember, but like I say about Charles Jones. Charles Jones was Jeff Jones' brother. He overseed us, took us to the field and all this stuff like that. And I can remember, when I saw the color purple, it brought a lot of things back, because we did a lot of those things. We would ask him, could we go to the bathroom? Her name was Lily Mae and Barb, and we were probably, I'd say, about 8, 9 years old. And we would sneak back up to the truck where Charles Jones had his food and stuff, and we wash our hands in his water and stuff like that. But that was our way of getting back. If my mom knew what we were doing, we did this kind of stuff, they probably would have beat us to death. But anyway, it was just that's just the way life is. And then when we came home, we had work to do. And feed the hogs and the chickens.
This is all before you go to school?
No, you didn't go to school until he told us we could go to school.
Okay,
and a lot of kids didn't go to school. I got to go to school, and we got to go to school because my dad did a lot. Probably what you call it. Kissing up,
sucking up a little bit. So grandpa, so y'all could go, so he could get privileges for y'all.
Yeah, we got to go to school, and a lot of things that I think about now, how I used to laugh at the other kids because they couldn't go to school.
The other black kids.
Yeah,
some of the other black kids. Okay.
And I can remember, I think I told you this before. This boy his name was Melvin Mayhem, and we used to call him Bubba. And he said he was going to school. And Jeff Jones told him, said, you can't go to school till his crop is out. And he went to school. We never saw him again.
Wow.
I don't know what happened to him or whatever, but we never saw him. But that was the kind of life. And then, like I said,
so you're 77 years old now. Mm-hmm. So you were not, at 9 years old, you were not a slave.
Mm-mm. No, we're supposed to sharecrop.
But yeah. But you were definitively
A slave.
basically not
Yeah.
seen as equal, treated like workers, property. I mean, am I saying that right? Am I right? I mean, is that right? So you got to go to school. So would you get up in the morning and go pick cotton and then go to school?
No.
That's not how it went.
We got to go to school because of the relationship my dad had.
So
we got to go to
so
school.
you would go to school. Okay.
And I can remember, and I think about it a lot of times, that we used to laugh at the other kids because they couldn't go to school.
Yeah.
You know, until, like I said, with Bubba, well, his name was Melvin, and he said he was going to school, and Jeff Jones came up there and told him, says he never called her. We would call Annie. The girls would call Annie.
No matter what
Just
your
like,
name was?
Yeah, you were Annie. My mom was Annie. We would call Annie.
So the what did you call them? Like Jeff Jones, what'd you call him?
Mister.
No matter, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And they would call you Annie, even though your name is not that at all. They would not say Janie or
I don't even know if
Mary
they
or
knew what our
Flora. They
name
didn't even know
was.
your names. It just no matter what.
No, but-
What'd they call grandmama?
Annie.
Same thing. Okay. So
All the women would call Annie back then. And I don't know why, but where we lived, that's what they were.
So what was that? You said you don't remember. It's interesting to me, and I think about the way things are now, and I know so many of your stories. We've talked about so many of your stories, and we're talking about don't quit. It's hard for me to process how you don't quit during that when you're like you're being forced to go work somebody's property and forced to do they don't even call you your name. I mean, where does that come from even at that early age? I mean, that's a spirit that I've seen obviously since, I've known you all my life. That's okay. That was free. But just, where does that come from? How do you not just like, I don't want to, did you not even have any choices? Like, I ain't going to do this no more. Or
Back then you didn't have a choice. You didn't have a choice, but you did what you had to do to survive. Like he had a big chicken house, and we go smother the chickens, and that way, But we could take them home and eat them then.
So you were a chicken murderer?
Yeah, well, I was a chicken murderer, but it was just. But then everybody that was black was the same. We treated the same that lived. Now the black people that lived in town, they were better than us.
Because
they lived in town and they didn't have to do this.
Okay.
They were better than us, and they treated us like that.
So the black people who lived in town,
treated
y'all like you were less than they were.
Yeah. That was our people.
Okay, so we talked about this before, and we'll get in a little bit because I want to unpack this because that's the thing I'm talking about. So don't you ever quit? But there's so many. I say this all the time. There's so many raindrops within the raindrops because if you don't. I just think it's a lost thing that we don't do, learning from where we come from, because some of the same things we're dealing with today, the people in town, were they...
let me tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you this story that makes me feel bad about our own people.
Okay.
It's like back then we used to have, in Marion, we used to have, they set aside a day and it was for black people, and it was called May Day.
Okay.
And the black kids like me, dark-skinned kids.
Dark-skinned, okay.
Yeah, we never got to be chosen to be queen. Well, anyway, my little room that we were in, they picked me.
Okay.
I'm black. You know what I mean.
You're
what
chocolate.
I'm saying. Yeah.
You're dark-skinned.
And my mom, and I thought I was looking good, she scuffered and got me a dress, and I was the queen, and we went to East Perry. It was East Perry junior high school or whatever. Anyway, it was from. We didn't have kindergarten back then. It was from first grade till ninth grade. Then you went to Lincoln, but anyway, I was queen, and all the queens was always light skinned, and I was black, and our room won, so I was queen that year. And I'll never, ever forget that as long as I live. Like, we had a date that was set aside. Nobody had to go to field, and we had a big parade. And it was that was the big day. That was, you look forward to May Day. And we all went to Lincoln School. And that's where they had this big circle, all roped off, and all the queens and their attendants. And then my attendants were light-skinned. I was dark.
But you were the queen.
I was the queen.
Yeah.
And I never, my mama scuffed for my dress and my everything, and I thought I was looking good. All I got that day, I was so humiliated. And when I think about it now, it makes me want to cry. Our people. Ooh, look at that black girl. Ooh, look at that black queen. We got a black queen. We don't need no black queen. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Yeah.
Never forget that. But our people, like, we talk so much about white people, but our people did us just as bad. The light-skinned people, they got special. When I went to school, if you were light-skinned, you could be dumb as a box of rocks and got an A. That's the way we were treated. I'll never forget that. Ooh, look at that black queen. It will stay with me. And I said, our people, we need to check ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're not better because of the color of our skin. We are better because of what's in our heart.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know that affected you.
I think about that all the time.
You do.
It hurts.
I know that.
I never, ever, ever would date a light-skinned man.
I know. I know.
And I mean, maybe that's bad on my part, but I'll never forget how humiliated I was that day and people were just saying, "Ooh, look at that black queen, she's black." No matter how black you are, we're all the same on the inside.
Yeah.
We bleed red blood.
Yeah.
And we need to treat people no matter what color they are. I don't hate white people. I don't hate black people. Because you know how Betty and Kay helped raise you guys, and they were white.
Yeah, I want to talk about that though. I mean, we're gonna do a lot of time jumps here, because because I just appreciate you sharing that, and I know it affected you because I watched you. The choices you make with regard to, it took forever to get you to wear certain colors because you thought you were too black and all these things, and how much that scarred you. So I appreciate because there's somebody out there. The reason why I appreciate it, because there's somebody out there that feels just like you used to feel, and I want them to hear from you. But I want to talk about that because we're in this climate right now of just such divisiveness for so many different reasons, but certainly around the subject of race and all sorts of things. And you made this comment that you just started your whole story off by telling me you used to sharecrop on this man's land where you had to call him Mr. and he didn't call you your name. How possibly do you not? How do you? I mean, we're talking about don't ever quit, but how do you grow up and live 77 years and you don't hate? And I've always told people this, and this is the question I've always said, like, my gosh, if anybody had a reason to hate somebody, it would have been you, but you've always taught us not to do that. Talk about that a little bit.
I just think, to me, it's like, I was friends with Betty and Kay.
Yeah.
And they were white.
Rest in peace to Betty Sturm and Kay Heddle.
Yeah.
So everybody knows, they helped raise me. They were friends of my mother's. She'll tell her story, but
I met them at work.
At work, yeah. And they were always there. Always. It was just, just always around. So if you're around me and you see that I have a purple cow, it's because of Kay Heddle. She loved it. But go ahead. Talk about that. We were just saying, like, the question on the table is, how do you keep going, and how do you not carry forward hatred? I mean, you taught us not to do that.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out, how do you do that given what you've experienced?
I feel like, hate is a real, real harsh word.
Yeah.
And I don't hate anybody for the simple reason that God made us all. Sometimes I'm at home a lot of times, and I'd be in my room and I'd be fussing. I'd be fussing with God. I'd be literally fussing with him.
You said you're gonna have a lot of conversations with him when you get to heaven.
But Leo told me that Leo's my husband. Like Leo told me, he says, "Well, if you get your foot in the door, you better shut your mouth."
Like I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm cool. Everybody else all right? I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yeah. But what was the question now? I forgot.
I'm sorry. Just how did you manage to not hate given the experiences you've had? And you taught us not to hate, and so you were just talking about that.
Only thing I can say is that hate destroys self.
Yeah.
That's what hate does. And the only reason that, I don't know if I say I'd hate somebody, but if you walk up to me or cuss me or hit me or whatever, I'm gonna hit you back.
Yeah, we got some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think when you dislike somebody, dislike them because they did something to you. But you have to forgive that person anyway.
You saw so many things, Mama. Colors only fountains.
Oh, yeah.
You lived through that.
I know I did.
Right?
I mean, I used to stand there and watch that water because they used to make us go up to the funeral home, where the black funeral home, that's the only place we could drink. I used to sit there and watch those kids drink that water.
The white kids?
Uh-huh. And I used to think, there's something in that water that makes them better than us.
Wow.
I always thought that. But then, but you know what, though? After I came to Fort Wayne and I worked at Magnavox and Raytheon all my life, and the people that I met, white people, they had it hard too.
Yeah.
A lot of them had it hard too. But my problem is, don't hate nobody just because they walk in the room and they are black or they're white. Hate them because they did something to you.
Yeah.
And I want to take this word back, because hate is a hard word. It's a hard word. It's a hard word. Hate takes you nowhere but to hell.
Yeah, that's good. So let me just because so many things. Again, don't ever quit. Sharecropping. Not really.
Don't.
Run over by a car, you said.
Yeah. And then let me tell you that little incident when I was run over by a car, and the man was drunk, and he was a whole bunch of them. They had been drinking or whatever, and the road just came right by the house, and we were playing a game called Over the Hen Nest.
Okay.
And nobody knows what that is. Is that we didn't have toys. We had balls or something like that, and you throw it over the house, and you get in one side, one kid be on one side and one be on the other side, and you said over, and the other one said hen nest, and they don't know which way to run because they don't know which the ball is. But anyway, we were playing, and he was drunk, and he ran, and I was running at the ball, and he ran, he hit me. I didn't know that then, but all I felt was something hot.
Okay.
And the next thing I know, I was standing outside the car, and my sister was chasing the man. And she was beating him across the head, and they was trying to stop the car.
Yeah.
And he was out in the ditch and in the field and all this stuff. But anyway, and they didn't. They took me down to Jeff Jones' place, the man that we live on. Wait a minute. My collarbone here was broken.
Yeah.
And remember I told you I used to pull my lip, and the kids at school would stick their finger down through it, and we thought that was funny. But anyway. I had no skin on my body. They took me down to Jeff Jones' place, and man ain't never set a foot in a school, but he doctored on me. Whatever.
He doctored on you.
Yeah, whatever he did, doctored on me or whatever. But I can remember I kept getting sick, and I started vomiting, and they took me to Selma.
Okay.
And I can remember being in a cast. They put me in a big iron cast. But anyway, I survived it. And like I said, a lot of times I used to say, why didn't you? I didn't understand why God didn't let me die. Just like my lip here.
Did that happen from the accident?
My teeth went through my lip.
And
okay. I used to pull my lip over, and the kids used to stick. They thought that was funny. They'd stick their finger through my lip.
It don't sound funny, but I get it.
That's the way we live.
So car accident. I mean, it's a major car accident.
Yeah.
How long were you in that cast? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. All I know is they left me in Selma for a long time, and I had a big cast from all. That's all I remember that. But
and so then And whatever I'm just going to go there. Whatever we're talking about, if you don't want in there, we can always, take it out. But I want to talk to them because I'm trying to help people out there. Don't you ever quit does not mean that life is easy.
Right.
It just means you got to keep going. Mm-hmm. This is what I've watched my entire 51 years. This is all I've ever seen is you going and keeping. When I learn your stories, I'm like, man, and it makes me keep going. So, because people don't talk about it in the Black community very much, and they definitely didn't talk about it back then. You also survived sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You didn't tell me that till I was grown.
Well,
I mean, you're not supposed to. I mean, I understand that, but you didn't tell me that ever at all. I mean, I remember being so mad about that. But talk a little bit about that. There's somebody out there that's full of shame. They're hiding it. They're not telling somebody they're living with this or they think something's wrong with them. And I want them to understand that I'm talking to them. I'm talking to you too, that you reign, you overcome, you dominate, that you superabound, that you win. What someone else did to you does not define you. But talk about that.
I remember when I was like maybe 12 years old and I was playing jacks. And my dad always had guys over because he always made homebrew. And I don't know what it was. Anyway, he always made that. And this man name was Melvin Mahan. And my dad, he came over, and my dad was, went to get him some homebrew. And I was sitting down there playing jacks. I mean, I don't know how old I was, but just paying attention to playing jacks. I don't know if kids know what jacks are now anyway, but anyway. And when my dad went to get his homebrew, he was all over me. All over me.
How old were you then, you said?
I don't remember. He was all over me. And I never forget what he said. If you tell your dad, he won't believe me, won't believe you because I'm his best friend. And even when I was, and that happened to me twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I was here in Fort Wayne, my brother-in-law had this friend he wanted me to meet after I came up here. And we were supposed to be going to the movies. He took me to a hotel and raped me. And he told me that if you tell Paul, he won't believe you because I'm his best friend. Yeah. And I was scared to death. I mean, I was a little country bumpkin. I hadn't been up here that long, and I didn't know anything. And that scared me. And since y'all were born, I went back to Alabama. And I saw this guy that did that to me, Melvin Mahan. That was his name. And I told Francis and you were with me, but you were little.
Francis,
my
and
sister.
Francis,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I said, Francis, I got to go across the street. And I was grown. I was old then. I got to go across the street. And she said, why we going to go? And I told her. She says, I wish you had told me before then. She said, I would have killed him.
Yeah.
But, things happen, and you're so scared because you think it's your fault. You think it's your fault. Just same way with Paul's friend.
Yeah.
He says, Paul is my best friend. And like I said, I was from the country. I hadn't been up here that long, and I didn't know anybody. I was scared to death. And he says, if you tell Paul, he won't believe you because I'm his best friend.
Do you know now it wasn't your fault?
I know now. I know now.
Tell them it's not their fault.
No, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
As excuse my language, but shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to wash it off and go.
Yeah.
But that was, but you can't sit here and let what happened to you in life be your God. You got to trust God.
Wait. Say it again. That's a drop. But what'd you say? You said you can't let, say that again. You can't let what?
You can't let things that happen to you in life
be your God.
Be your God.
That's
you got
right.
to trust God.
Golly.
And none of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. And we all do things. And like if anybody said they don't lie, they lying in.
Yeah.
Because we all do these things. But all of this is part of learning. And then when you know God, it's like Leo told me that. Leo is my husband. Like Leo told me one day, I was in there and I was just fussing. He said, what are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to God. He said, I sure hope he don't answer. I said, I want him to answer. I want him to answer.
Yeah.
I said, because I'm mad. I'm mad. And you know about, when I had this with my son, I went in the closet.
Yeah.
Y'all tried to get me out. And I said, I'm not going to come out till God tell me come out.
Yeah.
And when I came out, and right now, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I do things wrong. But he is always there, and you have to take it to him. And I'm not saying I'm the best person in the world to take advice from, but I'm just saying I've been through some things.
Yeah.
But I came out. And I can sit there and I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I got you, I got Derek, and I got them 2 boys, and I got Journey. And I thank God every day. Sometimes Dawn, I just jump up on the bed and I just be thanking God. Because I should have been dead when that car ran over me.
Yeah.
And I really should have been dead when I pulled the gun on your dad.
Yeah. There's so much. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, we could just have. There's so many things that you have survived, but not just survived, powered through. Because some of that Melvin Mayhem, is that Melvin story? That's back when you were still in Alabama. You said earlier.
Oh, I was about
you were
10,
little then,
10 or 12 years old.
So there's a space in there. You get from Alabama, and you said earlier, and I don't want to forget it. You said you basically ran away from home.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
So talk about that just a little bit.
Well, my mom and my oldest sister, my oldest sister was a school teacher. And she thought, down south, everybody, when you're a school teacher, you're the highest, you're what they say, you high on the hall.
Okay.
And I didn't want that. I didn't want that.
You didn't want what?
I didn't want to stay there. And my sister,
What'd you want to do?
They had, I was supposed to marry John Turner, and I was supposed to be a school teacher, just like all them, but I didn't want to do that.
What'd you want to do?
I didn't know. All I know, I wanted to leave. I wanted to get away. And my mom, when I left, and my mom was so mad at me because she always said I was hard-headed. Because I don't know, I always wanted to know why and how. And if you tell me something, and I'm still like that, I want you to explain it to me.
So why did I get whoopings for asking these questions? You don't have to answer that. We just stick right where we are. That's okay. I'm a little bitter, but I'm gonna get over it. Okay, so you decide they were trying to plan your life. Mm-hmm.
They had
planned your life.
I was gonna marry John Turner and be a school teacher.
Okay, you're like, I don't want to do none of that.
Everybody in the South, they're school teachers, and when you're a school teacher, you're better than everybody else. Everybody looks up to you. At least where I came from.
Okay.
That was the utmost.
Okay, and you didn't want that life.
I didn't want that life.
And so when you say basically ran away from home, what do you mean?
Because I had said I had went 1 year at Selma University, and I hated Selma University. That's me. I hated Selma University. It was supposed to be. That's where ministers went. They were the worst people in the world, breaking in the window, coming in, trying to have sex with you, all that stuff. But that's the way it was. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be. And I said, if my mama let me, I'm going to talk her. And if somebody come down here and they going somewhere north, I'm going to see talking and let me go. And I ain't coming back. And she never forgave me.
Gotcha.
She never forgave me. And then after I had my son, had Derek, she wrote me this letter telling me all the stuff I could have done. I could have married John Turner. I could have did this. I could have did that. But no, you went to Fort Wayne and you had a baby. And I can remember sitting in the room, holding my son and crying because that was the only thing, all I had. And that was the only something that loved me. I mean, and I would get up, and I can remember, I have no, I don't know how I want to say this. Seemed like the people that I met, it's like one day I got on the bus here in Fort Wayne and didn't know where to get off. I was a little country bumpkin, didn't know. So the man went to the end of he was a white guy. He went to the end of his route.
Yeah.
And he says, he got up and came back there, and I'm just boo-hooing.
Because you don't know where to get off. You done rode around all the Fort Wayne.
He says, do you know where you live? And I said, I live on Wayne Street. He says, you live on Wayne Street? I said, yeah, I live on Wayne Street. He says, okay, I'll take you back downtown, and I'll show you how to get on the bus. And he did. Because like, and he was, but you know what, Dawn? All the things that happened to me, God always put people in my life that was good to me.
Yeah.
There was some that was wanted to use me, but that was good to me. And I thank God every day. You just don't know. There's many times that I'd be in that room and I'd be shouting because I said, God done brought me through so much and I'm still here. Like I said, look at me. I'm 77 years old. I was run over by a car.
Yeah. You're beautiful.
And I
77 years old.
I shouldn't be here. But see, God had a plan. He's always got a plan. And I'm glad he has a plan because I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that S word, but I know I ain't right.
You already said it, actually, so it's already in there. It's too late.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
didn't
okay.
mean to
It's
say
my
it.
show. We can say we won't say.
But-
yeah.
but-
So but I want to ask you this. Because you know, I'm sitting here because we could talk. I mean, this could be like episodes upon episodes of learning from you. I'm just so grateful to be able to learn and hear your stories. So I'm married with 2 children, and some days, especially when they were younger, I didn't know how. It was like, how do we do this? How do you do this? And I have an amazing husband, and I had, you know, resources and all these things. And I think back on what you did raising us.
Yeah.
And it it blows me away. I was actually having a conversation today with someone. I was telling them about some of the things I like to eat. They like, you know, they were just talking about you know, ketchup and rice, or you know, the way you make donuts and you like fry the donuts and whatever. And I was like, I believe though the reason why she did these things, the reason why we ate them is because you couldn't waste anything, and so you made something out of everything. Just again, the raindrop of the day we're vibing around is don't you dare quit, Mama. You just would against every odd imaginable. You had. How did you raise 2 children with no money, hardly?
Like I said, no money.
How'd you do that?
God, because I never got welfare. I remember I got food stamps one time, and I got y'all up at 4:00 in the morning. We went to just the grocery store. It was Marsh or something. I think that was the name of it, because I didn't want anybody to see me with food stamps. And that was the only time that I ever got food stamp. And I went to work, and I always had bosses at Magnavox that always, because they used to call me Little White Girl.
Well, they called me Little White Girl.
Because the bosses always knew I was going to be at work every day. I was going to do a good job. And I did. And I got promoted. And the most of the time I had no. The only black friend that I had that was at Magnavox is Barb.
Shout out to Miss Barb Stanley. She helped raise me too.
and just like you said, I can remember when you had your 16th birthday. I know you remember that.
I do.
And you kept saying you wanted a car because I got Derek a car. We got a little beat up car, and so I had everybody in my department. I told them. And they were all white. I think we cut out pictures for weeks of cars. Everybody cut cars, and we put strings in them. And I don't know how you missed it, but we put it. For your 16th birthday, we started at your door, and we lived in an apartment. And we had so many cars hanging all the way down to the floor, up and long. And I remember you crying. And you said, this is the best birthday present I ever had.
I remember it.
And like you said, you always thought we were rich. I said, we didn't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out.
I didn't know if I thought we were rich, but I didn't know we were poor.
We were poor.
I didn't know we were poor because I never wanted for anything. I'm the baby. Mm-hmm. I never wanted for anything. So if there was always food, there was tons of food. People used to come over our house and eat our food, and there was always fun. We were always playing. You know, 372 West Washington Center Road was my favorite place I've ever lived until now, making my own home. You know, but
And we were always doing something. We was always at the lake, and we were always, and we would go with Betty and Kay and them to visit her sister, but we were just always somewhere
but where
doing
does that
something.
come from? That whole
Because
idea of like I'm not quitting. I mean, you had this is hard work. You got 2 kids and nobody there to help. My dad left. Y'all know my story. I mean, Dad
You were
left when I
4
was
years.
4 years old. He's nowhere. He's not helping.
And he used to do so. He used to break in the house every day, and I would come home when I get picked out from the babysitter, and then we come home, and all our food, he'd come in and stomp it all over the floor and all this stuff, and I would just cry. And I remember I used to call the police, but they would always come, but they would tell me, "Ma'am, we can't do nothing." We can't do. I never forget. God bless this poor little guy. I hope he's still living. I hope he's all right. But he used to always come. He go, "Man, we can't do anything. We can't do anything." He would sit there. He would wipe my face. He wiped my face. He would always. And he says, "You're gonna be all right, but we can't do anything." But it was like I don't know. And sometimes I look back, like that song said. I think Mahalia Jackson said, sometimes I wonder how I got over.
Yeah.
And because I look back now, and I said, all the time it was God. I didn't know him, but he knew me. He knew that was something in me. He knew that. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm not. I'm not saying that I don't do things wrong, because I do. And let Leo tell it. I think I know everything, but I don't know nothing.
I've heard that about myself too. It's not
All I
true.
know is that God was always there. He always put somebody in, and I never missed a ball game that Derek had.
Yeah.
I never missed a band thing that you had, and I hated that band. But I was there every time.
Wait, we were good.
Y'all was good.
We were good.
Y'all was good.
Hey, and I could have, y'all don't know, I could have been a dancer.
Yeah.
But my mama didn't support me. So all this stuff that she talk about that she's great, she didn't support my dancing. I was good.
No, that was terrible. Now the karate was good, but that dancing was terrible.
I was good.
Everybody be going one way, she going the other
You
way.
didn't support my dreams. I had to.
That wasn't no dream. That was a nightmare.
But but I remember you. You were always there. I
was always there. I have never missed anything that you were. Even when we went back to school, and I've never missed anything. I had, when you. But I always say it like this. God knew me when I didn't know him.
Yeah.
He knew. I'm not saying I'm the best and I'm the best, but he knew me. And he knew that I tried. So he was always there for me. I didn't know him because I would be mad at him anyway when I go to church. I don't know why I'm going to church.
Yeah.
But,
but you kept going.
I did.
You just kept going. I mean, you kept every day. I remember you getting up, Mama, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Like I don't know what, it felt real early, especially because we got a lot of snow in Indiana back then. You would get up and you would go start the car and clean off the car, and we didn't have any garage, it was just out there in the parking lot, and you would start the car. I had breakfast, y'all, every day for the entirety of my education through from K to 12th grade. I had a hot breakfast every day.
Yep, I would get up.
I remember you used to talk about, you said like,
And most of the time, most of the time I went to work, I had to be at work at 5 o'clock.
I don't understand.
But I would get up and cook y'all food and put it in the microwave because I didn't want you going to school hungry. You and Derek going to school hungry. And I would make sure because I just felt like y'all didn't ask to come in this world. I brought you in this world. But what I'm trying to say is that you were my responsibility. And I always wanted you and Derek to be better than me.
You didn't.
And I'm not saying that I was perfect because I could be mean.
Well, okay.
And I would whip some butts.
So let me just say, I was going to say this. I'm glad you said it because I always knew I was loved. I did. I always knew I was loved.
We were always doing something.
But I thought you were mean.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, your mama ain't gonna do nothing. I'm like, she gonna kill me in my sleep. You don't understand. My mama gonna do something. So I thought you were mean, but I realize now as I have my own children, man, that was a way for you. That was necessary for you to keep going, to not quit, that you had to have order. Am I saying that right?
What I was gonna say is that I always from the minute that Derek came in this world, and I wasn't married then, I wanted you and Derek to be better, have better lives than I had. And that's why I did the things that I did. I made sure that we did things together. We had baseball games and all this kind of stuff. We went sledding. We went all this stuff. But you know what though, Dawn? When you do right, somebody is going to help you. Somebody is going to help you.
Say that again.
When you do right,
that's good.
somebody is going to help you.
Yeah.
That was always.
I remember you told me the story about your rent. That because I think that's important.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many people out here and they're struggling. They're trying to figure like, I can't go on. I hope that you get from this. Let me not bury the lead. I hope you get from listening that I'm inviting you to sit at my mom's feet too. That you get that not only can you go on, that's not true that you can't go on. You must go on. Mm-hmm. That you're here for a reason. But talk about that because the rent was it was interesting.
$98 a month.
Yeah,
$78 a month. 78, and that was like, God.
Like how you gonna pay that? How am I gonna pay that?
God. And I would go to work. And I like to say I never miss work because they always say I was the person that never missed work because I was like this. If you trusted me with a job, I'm gonna do the best I can.
Yeah.
And I believe that if you gave me a job, then I'm gonna do the best I can. But I would go, like I said, my rent was $78 a month back then. And I would go and I think, Lord, that was like a mountain. It was now $78. Hey, you throw that on lunch. But it's like, and I would go to work, and Betty would say, and Betty was white. Betty was white. She'd say, Janie, what's wrong? I said, nothing. What's wrong? I said, nothing. You need anything? No. A couple of days go by, she'll come back. She goes, here, I brought you something. And she'd give me a check. Now, what I say is, she was white. She was my friend. She was my friend.
So Betty is a long line. I've watched some of these people that just constantly would. I remember you told me that the person you told them you would pay them with the rent, and they gave you the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because that lady told me, she said. The little lady, she was a little white lady, and that was over. What was the name of the apartment?
Cambridge Square apartment.
Cambridge Square. Anyway, and she told me, she looked at my
credit report or whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
she told me, she said, baby, she said, your credit is so bad, you can't even buy toilet paper. She said, but you know what? She said, because you told me the truth. I'm gonna let you have this apartment.
Yeah.
But you gotta promise me you gotta pay your rent. My rent was $78. But to me, back then, that was a mountain.
But part of what I'm getting from you, what I've always gotten from you, is this idea of not quitting.
Don't quit.
Is entangled with you keeping your word. Mm-hmm. There's so many stories you've told me about, telling people things like when after you had filed bankruptcy. That's another thing you survived through. You had to file bankruptcy because of my dad, and you told everybody, "I'm gonna pay you." Did I get it right?
Yes, I did. Yep, I told them, and I would pay them $5 and $10 a week till I got them paid off.
Yeah,
I did.
So in terms of if you're taking notes, if you're taking nuggets, part of you can't separate the wet from the water. You continuing forward and moving forward and not quitting is connected to you being honorable to your word. Right? That's good. That's the right way to say it?
Yeah. You have to be. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. Or tell them why you can't do it. Or show up.
Yeah.
Because, none of us is perfect. Because if we were perfect, we had no reason to be here. So, I mean, why would we need God if we were perfect? Yeah. So, things happen. As I guess I shouldn't see this, but you know what they say, shit happens. Yeah. Like Forrest Gump, that was the best part in that movie. That's the best movie I ever seen when he was running. He stepped in that dog poop, and that guy says, "Oh,
It happens.
He said, you stepped in that dog food. He looked at it, he said, shit happens.
That movie is brilliant. That's what you took from that
That's
movie.
what I took from that movie.
Life is like a box of chocolates. They do
that was good too, but that's my favorite.
So like I said, there's no way to unpack the journey of your life in all, without it would be just keep going on and on. But I want to make sure we bring forward, because you raised Derek and I by yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong. You had so many people that came and supported, but it was on you. Raised us by yourself. We both went to college. Both got scholarships to go to college.
And I used to always tell you ain't bring me no bad grades.
I know.
I used to tell you that all the time. Don't you bring me no bad grades.
I used to think you were so mean about that. I used to think, like, I remember when I was in law school. I don't know if you remember this. I was in law school my first year, first semester, and I didn't do well. According to law school standards, I just didn't do well. It's not according to law school standards. I didn't do well. And I remember being home for Christmas, and I was standing there crying because I got my grades, and I was crying like, it's over, my life is over. And you were standing there, you were upstairs, and you were like, what's wrong with you? And I told you, and you were like, well, you got two choices. He said, quit or quit crying and go back to school and do something about it or something like that. I felt like it was meaner than that. There's probably some words that it's a family show, I ain't gonna say. But I used to think that you were so mean for that. Like, that's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to come down here and hug me. You're supposed to come down here and make me feel better. That's not in the mom handbook. What's wrong with you? But I sit here now and my gosh, thank you. Thank you, Mom, for not letting me quit. You taught me how
you don't quit.
To not quit.
You don't quit.
I've wanted to quit so many things, so many times, whether it's work or relationship driven or whatever. So many times life gets really, really hard. And I think about all the things you taught me. And I'm like, golly, I can't stop now. And so I want to make sure that I tell you all the time privately, but I want to make sure any stage I hold, thank you, Mom. Thank you. So what do you say to somebody out there? Because they're like, I hear you, Dawn. I hear you, Miss Janie, but you don't know what I'm going through. This is really, really hard. Mm-hmm. You don't understand. I don't know how to move forward. What do you say to them?
Me, the way I am, I would say, what you think Christ went to? What you think he did on that cross for us? What do you think he did? You think he enjoyed that? But he did it because he loved us that much. You have to love yourself. You can't quit. Quitters quit. If you want something in life, Dawn, there ain't nowhere that I know of where it says life is easy. Everything, I mean, it might be these little rich kids or whatever, but still, they having problems too.
Yeah.
They having problems too.
Everybody.
Because they got too much money and don't know what to do with it, and you ain't got none. And you have to learn to do and trust. And I'm not preaching, but trust God.
What if I don't know God?
Well, then you need to get in the closet like me and get your Bible and read and don't come out until you do know Him.
Gotcha.
You remember when I went in that closet and wouldn't come out? What I'm saying is that, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting around like you know me. You know me. I'll say a cuss word, but then I say, Lord,
two or three or four or five. It just depends.
But see, Dawn, I think a lot of people think that they're supposed to be perfect. And we wouldn't need him if we were perfect.
Yeah.
If we did everything right. But he's there to help us if you trust him. And I'm not going to say it all going to happen right now, but we all do wrong. We all fail at something.
So you sit here now, man, just put a little bit out there. I mean, we're just talking about, I appreciate you being so just open and honest. You're retired now. You've worked all your life. You retired but it's been 19 years, almost 20 years, because Brooke will be 20 in a few weeks. But you're retired now. Own your home. Don't have to work. Do what you want to do. You're healthy. You're beautiful. You didn't see this Janie, did you?
Mm-mm.
At all? Does she blow you away sometimes?
No, but sometimes I have to. There's so many times, Dawn, that I'll just run around the house and I just say, "You're so good."
You and that dog.
You're so good. Yes. I'm talking about God, not Snow. But Snow is good too.
Snow's her dog. Yeah.
But it's just like you just don't know. Like sometimes I'd be in that room and I just cry, and I just think about where God brought me from. I'm this little girl that didn't have, little nappy-headed girl that didn't have nothing. We didn't have nothing, and I did it not with I'd say 90% of it by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody, but I'm so glad that God knew me when I didn't know Him.
I hope you take the time, to celebrate, and as you sound like you do, but just that you understand just how, not just how blessed you are, but just how much of a gift your life
blessed.
is, and then
I am
you know what I
blessed.
mean. Just like looking at all the things that you're talking about, just where you sit now, what you do. Like you call me some days, it's funny. I think you think so. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, I don't have to do anything. What are you doing? From somebody who worked all day life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like I said, Mom. Thank you so much for honoring me by sitting down with me, for honoring them by telling them your story. Just pieces of it. There's so much more there, but just sharing you. So I always on Stay in the Rain, I always want to give them a gift from my guest. From my guests, I want to give them a gift to sow into them. One of the things that people may not know, but anybody who knows my mom, if you've ever had the ability to have some of my mom's cooking, it's just gonna blow you. It's blown you away. And so you're the best cook I've ever. It just ever had. Best food I ever had. I mean, just.
Well, now see, I'm old now, and I forget to put the right stuff in it. So don't
okay.
tell them that.
You have the right. But I want to share. There's something. So I want them to be able to go and make a Janie recipe. And one of the most famed things that you make that everybody always asks for is your pound cake. Okay, so let's talk about it because how do you make a Janie pound cake?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, you do. Come on. Well, how do you make a Janie pound cake? Well, you got to start with something.
Butter, eggs.
Okay.
Some good flour.
What's good flour? That white lily flour?
That's the best flour.
Okay.
You can't hardly find it though, but that's the best flour.
Okay.
And just those three things are the best thing you need. But get some good butter.
So good butter, eggs, white lily flour. What else? There's more that goes in that pound cake than those three things.
Butter. I said butter, didn't I?
Yeah. Isn't it a 7-Up pound cake?
Well, sometimes I make a 7-Up pound cake, but most of the time I don't.
That's all you put in that pound cake?
No.
There's sugar in it?
There's sugar.
Okay.
Well, it's got to be sugar in the cake.
Y'all can't go be jacked. I just want y'all to know that. That's not my fault. Okay, but if you hit me up, if you know me, I may be able to get you a better recipe than this. But we're going to try. But so right now you got butter, real good butter, good flour, white lily flour, eggs. Mm-hmm. The eggs, can they be regular? They got to be good too.
I don't want eggs all come out of chicken butt.
Okay. All right, and then some sugar, regular sugar.
Yeah.
Anything else to go in this pound cake?
Flavor.
Vanilla flavoring? Mm-hmm. What else?
And I think I use vanilla flavor and no, I don't know. I just be making cakes. I don't know.
Love. Thank you, Black Hand. Love goes into cakes.
But see, you know what, Dawn? Cooking it's got to be from your heart anyway.
Yeah.
It's got to be from your heart.
Yeah. It's a gift. You've blessed so many people with your food. With the love you put in your food. You talked about, we started out with kind of end where we started. Betty and Kay used to make all the time. Remember that? You make them vegetable soup every year.
Oh yeah, they love soup.
Some of the best food. I promise y'all, I have not eaten store-bought jelly since like 1972. But my mama makes jelly, and so just just
I'm old now. I'm getting out of the business.
I know you're getting out the jelly business, but that's okay. So I just want to tell you again, thank you. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for not quitting. You didn't have to keep me. You didn't have to stick around. You certainly didn't have to pour into me. And you're still doing that. I mean, the reason why I know that you have been retired 20 years or will be retired 20 years is because you quit to take care of Brooke. Mm-hmm. You are now my children's best friend. I'm like 4th on the list. And so I just want to tell you thank you for that. And I'm going to give you the last word. You're not going to be, normally I tell you like, if you want to get in contact with, my guests or whatever, you can follow all their social media handles and all that stuff. She ain't got none. She ain't going to talk to y'all. No. So this is all you going to get. This is what you going to get. And maybe a recipe with that pound cake if I can figure out how to get the rest of that out of there. But I want you to tell them. I don't even know
where the recipe is.
Just you get the last word of, all those folks that are sitting there and like, Miss Janie, I needed that. And I just, I was thinking about quitting, or I was, this is something that's hard for me. You get the last word of telling them to help them, make it another day.
All I can say is, don't ever quit, because don't allow anybody to make you quit. You quit when you want to quit.
You used to tell me that all the time for work. Mm-hmm. You're like, don't you let them make you quit.
You quit when you want to quit, but then you're just as smart as the next person.
Yeah. Sometimes
you have to work a little harder. But that's and always know. God's right there if you just ask him.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
I appreciate you, Mama. I love you. I honor you. And I thank you for saying yes to being a guest on Standing in the Rain. Yes, that's what's up. We go. I love y'all. Stay locked. Don't miss another episode. Make sure you follow, watch, like, subscribe. Stay in the Rain. It's on YouTube at Rain Today. It's everywhere you can find podcasts. Make sure you don't miss an episode. Like, subscribe, share, repeat. Like, subscribe, share, repeat. Make sure that you are staying locked on my Instagram at @YouRain, that you just staying locked with me. There's so much new hotness coming forward, new rain tables, all sorts of things just for you. So with that, I thank y'all for vibing with me. I love y'all. Let's go. New hotness on the horizon. Let's get it. Rain.